let's talk about high mass bridges. And it's a pretty popular upgrade for a bass. This bass, the reason I put this bridge, this is a Leo Klon bridge that was probably made in the mid-90s, probably 96, somewhere in there. And I put this bridge on this bass not because I wanted any advantages of this bridge as far as sustain and those sorts of things. The reason I put this bridge on this bass was the original bridge, the saddles, the threads that were in the saddles were worn out, and about every 3 or 4 weeks, the string heights would change. So I was constantly fooling around with the bridge on this bass. And I went to, at the time I used to take my guitar to one guy, this guy named Mike, and I was complaining about that, and he said, well, he goes, the only really good way to fix that is to get a different bridge. And the bridge that I had was, 40 years old at that time, and it was just worn out. So he suggested one of these bridges, and he put this bridge on, and I'm going to be honest with you, since he set this bass up 25 years ago, I have not touched the height of the saddles on this bridge at all. And that just says something about the quality of this piece. This thing has been rock solid. But there was an added benefit to upgrading this bridge, and that was that this bass had more sustain after I did that. Which means, when I would hit a note, it would ring for a longer amount of time. And I've often thought, why is that? Why did that make a difference? And if you think about it, so if you've ever had a bass that was a string-through body bass, I've had a few of those in the past. The one that was my favorite one was a Fender, it was a Music Man Stingray that was a string-through body. But I also had a Fender, some sort of Precision. It was like a Precision Deluxe. And it had the option, you could string through the body, or you could string through the bridge. And when you strung through the body, there was a difference in sustain. The bass had more, the notes would ring longer when you strung it through the body. And the reason I believe that is that when you string through a typical sheet metal bridge, which is like what's on one of these basses stock, that bridge is not that rigid. And it eats up some of the, I was just over here looking at my stupid cat, seeing what it was doing. But anyways, the bridge eats up some of the energy from the string. And that's why it doesn't ring as long as when you go through the body. When you put a high mass bridge on, it's a lot stiffer than a sheet metal bridge. In fact, so here I have, this is like a Music Man Stingray bridge. And you can see how thin it is. And that's where the strings go, right through the bottom. And here's a Fender branded high mass bridge. And you can see there's a huge difference between the thickness of this material. Another thing to note is a cast material, by its very nature, does not flex. It's a very rigid material, where a stamped material like this does flex. And that, I believe that there is the difference between a high mass bridge and a standard stock stamped bridge. And the reason it has more sustain is because since this is a much heavier built bridge, it's a much stiffer material, that it's able to anchor the strings more securely to the body. Oh, look, the cat's playing for us. Isn't that wonderful? You know what? You need to get out of there. Okay, well, we'll just leave you alone. It's a musical cat. But anyways, I believe that's what the deal is. That is why you get more sustain out of a high mass bridge versus a stamped steel bridge. Is this a worthwhile upgrade to a bass? I think it is. I think it's definitely worth it. In fact, this Fender bridge here is going on the fretless build that I'm working on. At some other point, I'm going to build a Music Man replica, and I'll use this bridge on that bass when I build it. But I'll probably figure out a way to convert this to string through. I'll probably drill holes in it. So it's more like the original Music Mans that were string through. But we're still a long way off from that. But those are some things to think about. I think it's a worthwhile upgrade, especially if you're playing lots of long notes. You know, if you're playing lots of long notes, it can make a difference in sustain. If you're playing a lot of, whatever it's type of music you're playing lots of short. Oh, what key are we in here? Sounded like D to me, maybe. If you're playing in a kind of music that has lots of short modes, it's probably not going to make that much difference. But if you play ballads or anything like that, and you play a lot of long notes, this extra sustain may help. I think it's a benefit, and I think that the aftermarket bridge is way better than the stock bridge that came on this bass. So those are just some of my thoughts on the subject. Hope you have a good day.